All right, team, Coach Dana Cavalea here. I got a great episode for you today on the Becoming a Champion show, where I sit down with Papa John Schnatter. He's awesome. It's an amazing show. And I want you to listen to how he categorizes people and how he shares with us the most important word in the English language for entrepreneurs out there. So sit back, enjoy. This is an amazing episode with a true American icon as it relates to business. And you're going to love this one. And this is truly an example of the American dream. So enjoy. And if you do, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. John, how we doing?
Dana, how you doing?
Hey,
I love that. I want one of those t-shirts, brother.
I either get complimented on the t-shirt or the backdrop, but I'll get you a t-shirt.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, listen, man, I'm a huge fan of yours. I love what you stand for, and big fan of the brand. So I wanted to get you on because I know there's a lot of people that could benefit from your message out there.
Well, we'll give you the best I got. I don't know. It's free, so you're getting what you pay for.
Yeah, listen, I love that. And you're a Kentucky guy, one of my favorite states in the good old United States.
Why do you like Kentucky?
You know what? I've never had a bad experience there. I went there when I was in college, and I went to 4th Street in Louisville, had a great time. And I'm a big fan of horse racing. You're obviously a very familiar face. Everybody knows that golden face. But I wanted to ask you, for many people that don't know your story, how did you get started? Were you always an entrepreneur?
I think I was an entrepreneur, but I didn't know it. We had a grass cutting company when I was 8.
Okay.
We borrowed my parents and grandparents' moors, and then we had a paint company when I was like 11 or 12. And then I helped Dad through a couple of ventures like Central Solar Heating, which was a solar heating company. And we were just working a lot, making a few bucks, but we didn't realize that there was a lot of entrepreneurship in our methodology and our day-to-day practices. So fell in love with making pizza. I think the two things you want to tell your audience is find something you're really, really good at, find something you love to do, hope they're one and the same. And that's how you have success. The most important word in the English language is focus. And for 44 years, we basically, got up, made pizzas in high school at Rockies, and then Greek's Pizzeria in Muncie through college. And then we had a good 34-year run at Papa John's, but we loved every minute of it. We had a great team. We got momentum. And once we got momentum, we were hard to stop, and built over 5,000 stores. So great teamwork, great effort, and a lot of fun, frankly.
Yeah. How old were you when you started Papa John's?
84.
Or how old were you when you started in the pizza business? Let me ask that first.
15. I was washing dishes at Rockies, and I hated washing dishes. So I graduated from washing dishes to be one of the Fondrisi brothers, Joe, John, and Frank Fondrisi.
Okay.
And started making pizza and fell in love with making pizza at 15. Got through high school, went up to see Chris Karamessini, the Greek at Greek's Pizzeria. Got through college on Greek's, and then came back, helped Dad get out of bankruptcy with his bar, Mix Lounge, and we started selling $5 pizzas in the back, and people liked the pizza, and 50-cent beers in the front. And that was kind of our beginning. The first Papa John's cost $1,600 to build. $1,600. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, man. Yeah. I meet so many young people today that are getting ready to start a business, or they're in business and they're doing well, but they get the itch to do something else, or add a new product, or add something else to their lineup, or start multiple businesses at one time. It sounds like that's not the recipe for success.
Yep. I think to be a wandering generality instead of a meaningful Pacific, to your point, jack of all trades is master of none. I just don't think in this day and age where everything's so hyper competitive and everybody's, competing for the same buck, I just think you have to be focused. I think you got to be persistent. You got to be tenacious. And to your book, one of your lessons is consistency.
Yep.
This morning, I worked out with my high school baseball coach. We've been working out for 44 years.
Love it.
We had a mix up last week where I thought he was one place and I was the other, because we have 2 different gyms that we go to. In 44 years, Dana, we've missed 6 workouts. We don't miss. Yeah. Incongruity breeds mistrust. Consistency breeds champions. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. So do you guys have a set time that you meet every day?
We're usually around noonish.
Okay.
At his gym, we do heavy. We'll do 8 to 12 reps, maybe
Okay.
rep out one. And then in my gym in the house, we'll do 40 reps, one set. So today we did 40 reps of tris. And then we'll do some scissors on the legs because I cycle a lot. It's very linear. And you want to mix that up with something that's a little more multi-dimensional as far as unilateral movements. So we'll do the scissors. Then we'll do 40 sets of biceps. Then we'll do the cycle again, 30, again, 20, and again, 10. And then we have these bands that we got from Joe Marcola that actually restrict. You put the bands here on the legs. I don't know if you've seen them.
Yep.
And as you get older, you want to work the muscle, of course, and the ligaments, but you really want to work your arteries, your veins, your capillaries. And by restricting that blood flow, you're enhancing and building up your your vascular system. So and then we'll do like 40 right in a row. One, that would be one, and then over. So we'll do that round, 4 sets, 40, 30, 20, 10. And then we'll do rep out with a real light weight of, say, literally 8, 9, 10 pounds, 40 reps, and just do 5 sets of that to rip it out and get a pump.
Yeah,
so,
I love
we've
it.
been working out. We work out 2-3 times a week when I'm in town. And to your point, we don't miss.
Yeah, you can't miss. That's, when it comes to professional sports, that's what makes these guys so great, is that they don't miss. Now I do a lot of work in the general population or with businesses and even a lot of CEOs, and they don't get what you're explaining right here, how amazing it is. You must have, dynamic energy because of the effort that you put into those workouts.
Well, the mind builds habits and habits build results. And to miss a workout is just like, I feel like once the workout's done, I own the day. I've won the day.
Yeah.
So now that workout's done, so usually we'll cycle in the morning, pick a number 25 to 60 miles. Then we'll take a little break, get some good organic food in, and do a little work, and then go back to the gym at noon. And after we just got done working out, I feel like I own my day. And I think in your book, I really liked, a great CEO, first of all, has to be a good CEO to himself. And, if you can't manage yourself, you're not going to get people to follow you. There's 2 things. People are going to follow by example. The leader is the example, not the exception. And that, people get behind great leaders because they know that somehow, some way they're going to make their life better. Yeah. And so if you're consistent, you're leading by example, and people say, okay, I'm not sure this guy is not crazy or off the reservation, but I know if I get on this train, this locomotive, my life's going to get better. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I come across a lot of CEOs too, and I want you to talk about this because I have a feeling where you're going to go with it, that say, I got to go. I'm focused on building the business. Like, we're building the business. I don't have time right now. I'll get to the workouts. I'll get to my training. I'll get to that, once the business gets here.
I have to call nonsense on that. I have to call BS.
Yeah.
When we were at store 0, we were in the bar in the broom closet, 3:00, we went and hit that workout. And I had a feeling from the get-go, an intuition, that if they can't run it for an hour and a half, 2 hours where I'm gone, exercising, taking care of my health, then I'm not a very good leader. If the captain of the ship has to be the captain of the ship, he's not a very, very good captain. A good captain has plenty of people around him that can run the ship just as good as he can. So, excuses. I don't like excuses. That's one of the traits of friendship that I have. We call it category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. Basically, you want to have ones around you, total integrity, have everybody's best interest in heart, the higher level of spirituality. They take care of themselves. And then you got 2 and you got 3. So basically a 2 is somebody that borrows your fishing pole. They're a dear friend. They got your back. They're honest, but they borrow your fishing pole and they forget to bring it back. And as soon as you call them out on it, they go, I know, I forgot. And they run the fishing pole over. A category 3 is somebody that borrows the fishing pole, doesn't return it. And then when you say, hey, where's my fishing pole? They make excuses. So excuses are indicative of a category 3 individual, which folks at our level, don't have time for category 3 and category 4 people. Category 4s are just totally full of it. So excuses, no way.
Yeah. Where, you obviously built a massive footprint in the pizza business. Where did you find so many category 1s, and how did you find them, or did you attract them?
The 85% of the population doesn't even function at an integrity base or a courage base, 85%. So even to get to a category 2, you're only 15% of the population. Usually we're pretty good. With 120,000 employees, of which 19,000 were on my payroll, you size situations and people up rather quickly. You can feel their energy, their aura, their magnetism, and you can size it up pretty quickly. Therein lies not the problem. The problem is you attract these folks, and to keep them on the program of principles, values, work habits, win-win, and really being a kind and generous and thoughtful person, compassionate person every day. When I turned Papa John's over, turned the reins over, our EBITDA was about $200 million a year. That's $4 million a week EBITDA. Profits were $155 million a year, $3 million a week profit. That amount of money does strange things to people. And the hardest thing was to keep people back to what I call brilliant at the basics every day. Let's don't forget what got us here. Let's don't think we're smarter than anybody else. Let's understand that we got to work harder. We got to work smarter. We got to hustle. We got to be more efficient. We got to be more productive, and we got to be the best place to work. And if you hold on to that gratefulness, that humbleness, that really looking out for your fellow human being, you'll attract the right people. But the name of the game is getting the ego out of the way. As you know, the ego is the culprit. And once people start believing their own headlines and their own nonsense, that's kind of the beginning of the end.
Yeah. How do you avoid that? Obviously you've been on a rocket ship for a good part of your life as you've been building this thing. And you got people coming at you left and right. I mean, I've seen it with pro athletes for years, bloodsuckers just coming at people. How do you avoid falling into that ego trap or that swag trap?
It's simple. We have a saying that if you don't question my judgment, you weaken me. And if I don't question your judgment, I weaken you. So I had a friend yesterday, we were going back and forth on an issue, on spirituality of all things. Yeah. And how the gut work coincides. The foundation and the function of your gut really dictate the chemicals in your brain, which dictates your behaviors, your attitude, your dispositions, et cetera. And, it was a healthy debate, but, I came at him pretty hard and he came at me pretty hard, but we're challenging each other's judgment. But at the end of the day, he has my best interest in mind and I have his best interest in mind. And now think about this, Dana, if you think you know it all, you no longer question. If you're not questioning something, you're not using your intelligence. Yeah. So if you're saying, why is this way? Or why does this work this way? Or how do you get this done that way? You're questioning. That forces you to go into the intelligence part of the brain, or maybe into the intellect, or maybe into intuition. And that's how you come up with answers. So once you're at a place where you know it all, now you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to throw everything you know out the window. But the athletes you deal with, all of them are probably 95% there. They're great athletes. And then it's at 96, 97, 98% that distinguishes the superstars, the really great ones, the Jeters and the A-Rods, from the 95%, folks that are just average in the MLB. So those folks have to always be keeping their eyes open. You're dealing with athletes that have a 3-inch ball bat, a 3-inch baseball in diameter that weighs 5 ounces. The ball's going 90 to 100 miles an hour. And the bat swing, I think, is close to 90 miles an hour. You're doing it in front of 60, 70,000, fans. Yeah. So just the sheer Newtonian physics of hitting a baseball is a remarkable task in itself. And they also have 9 other folks on the other side trying to get you out. just lets you know how difficult it is. And that's why I think you do such a good job of getting these athletes from Newtonian physics up to a quantum physics where they're in the zone. And if they're not in the zone and they can't ignore everything else, they're not going to hit that pitch or make that great play when when the game's on the line.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed though with the greatest athletes, they have a level of conviction and self-belief that's very hard to shake. Do you find that you're similar in that way?
I think at the end of the day, if you are building your life around natural law, principles, and good values with a good work ethic, and you're kind and you're compassionate and you're thoughtful. For example, when somebody needs to come over in your lane, let them over. You make that move. That's all heart of life is. Just let the person over. And if you do that act of goodness and kindness in every interaction throughout the day, you're going to get yourself more in a quantum field, a higher level of consciousness, and you're probably going to be more. I mean, you can build things on force, raw power, but the power of principles and collaborative relationships and karma are going to beat force every single time. Every single time, power is going to outdo force. You've seen it. You've seen big guys, strong guys, stubborn guys that are very forceful, but usually somebody that's operating in the realm that we just talked about usually gets the victory.
Yeah. Have you always operated in that realm, or is that something as you got older you moved more towards?
I'm not sure I'm operating in that realm right now. Hell no. I mean, like all of us, I love arithmetic. So that's one level, Arabic mathematics, that's a great level. I mean, arithmetic's universal. And then Newtonian physics is cause and effect. I mean, that's our day-to-day stuff on how things work. But when you start getting out of the five senses, your eyesight, your hearing, your touch, your smell, your et cetera, and you start working on as you call it, the zone, we call it quantum physics, a higher level of consciousness. Hell no, I don't stay in that. I mean, it's work in progress every day to really, take the shots, take the attacks, and yet not let that pull you off your game or my game of being kind, considerate, compassionate, and looking at the positives. That's one thing I liked about your book. It's all about attitudes. I mean, if you have a negative, attitude, if you think you can, you can. Your guys that they think they can. Or, if you think you can't, you probably can't. And attitude and positive mental thinking and really wanting the best for humanity or wanting the best for your community or wanting the best for your team and yourself all kind of go hand in glove. We're all kind of in this together. We're all kind of one.
100%. I want to ask you this because I'm thinking about it as you're saying this, for you, was there any battles that you had with yourself as you were going through this journey? I mean, like every entrepreneur I meet has these battles that they're fighting as they're going through their build. Was there any common themes that you felt yourself struggling with or having to overcome, or was it just a very low force journey?
Yeah, we started a broom closet and just kind of bumped along, and just all of a sudden we're at 5,000. I mean, it just went smooth as silk. There was never any adversity. There was never any issues. Are you kidding? I mean,
it was a very loaded question, by the way, just so you know.
If there's 10,000 dots on the board and each dot represents adversity, a mistake, getting off track, I hit every 10,000 dots. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you don't just go straight up. You have ups and downs, and you have good and bad, and you try to play at all levels of physics that we talked about, and avoid as much of the downside as you can, and keep it in the upside. In your book, you say never get too high, never get too low. I would agree with that on an emotional level, but you understand from a talent, physical level, physiological perspective, the athletes you deal with are up here. They're like Tiger and Jack and Michelangelo. And, the great ones have a real high upside, but they also have a real low downside. Yeah. And so, to be consistent like a Jack Nicklaus or an Arnold Palmer or some of the Larry Bird, you have to embrace the upside and then always be working on your downside. Yeah. So, to get from store one in the broom closet to over 5,000, we had tremendous amount of adversity. I thought for sure 2,000 stores would be easier than 1,000, and it was twice as hard. And then I thought 3,000 stores would be easier than 2. Then I thought 4 would be easier than 3. It got harder every 1,000 stores or every 500 stores. Pick your dividing point. But adversity, at the end of the day, it's how do you handle winning? Do you handle it with grace, and class and dignity, and you spread the results with your team or with your coaches? And how do you handle adversity? And, we've had so much adversity because we're in a hyper competitive market, i.e. pizza, that you're going to have adversity. And we've just realized adversity strips away your non-essentials and gets you back to the basics. When all this nonsense went down with the fabrication of the M word that I went through, first thing I did is went right back to my mom, went right back to Jeffersonville High School, went right back to my baseball coach, and went right back to the basics. So, okay, let's level set. It's one thing I learned from Peyton Manning and Archie. When they get in trouble, it's 3rd and 17, let's level set. What's the score? How much time left? Let's level set the game and then get back to what, our winning ways are. So when all this craziness went down, I had to go back to the basics. I had to go back to, okay, how do we do this? How do we build it? And go back to the foundation and then start back from there.
And how have you done with that?
I think book 1 is done. The Papa John's is done. I think, I don't know if it'll be a manuscript or a book. I think the intermission is where we're at now. Can the phoenix rise? Can you turn a crucifixion into a baptism? And then book 2 is going to be the next adventure. So it's kind of like asking Alex, when it's 3-3, how you doing? He's got game 4 to play.
Yeah. Well, he's had to do it a couple times, so but he'll tell you, he's like, hey man, I'm a guy that I put myself out there. So sometimes I make a few too many mistakes. And he says, for me, I never had a dad to slap me on the wrist, to prevent me from making those mistakes. But, for you, I find what I'm most attracted to about how you go about your business and about your life is, again, that I go back to the word conviction. And you have this value set, which I believe makes you a category 1. Where did you get the values? Who taught those to you? I'm sure you picked some of them up along the way, but.
Yeah, I think I've always done a good job surrounding myself with really, really good people. And then I made some mistakes, the pretty severe mistakes with people that I thought were good people that, the board of directors and the senior management actually set me up and tried to paint me as a racist. Now, that's about as dirty as it gets. It's borderline evil, and it's okay. They did what they did, and we've recovered, and we'll get on top of this. That kind of move is like unconscionable to me. I don't know how you do that to another human being, especially a guy that made everybody multimillionaires. But again, you gotta play the next play. You got to get on with life. But let's take 2, like Alex, who's a friend, and Tony Robbins is a friend. Those guys, when I was going through all this, it was like, anything you need, just let us know. People like that. But I think the foundation was definitely my mom and my grandfather. You just couldn't bend them. When my grandfather walked in a room, it was just, he just was in the room. You could feel his presence. He was total integrity. My mom was total integrity. So I think I got a good base from my grandfather and my mother. And then a lot of this you learn through the school of hard knocks. You look at a situation and you get yourself slightly in the gray, and before you know it, you're way off course. So you just got to make sure once you're going down that road of, hey, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel clean, cut it off, catch it, and move the thing back to where it is straight and it's honest and it's good. So as you get bigger and more powerful, and there's more notoriety and more wealth, every time I'm slightly in the gray, I get knocked upside the head. So I think it's a school of hard knocks a lot that just says, A, you're going to get hurt quickly, doesn't even take long, and B this is just a better way to go. Obeying natural law, wins. integrity, collaborative alliances, kindness, mutual respect. It's just a better way to go through life. And it has, frankly, much better results. I mean, Gandhi, 90-pound guy, he whoops the British Empire on principles. That's power. When a 90-pound guy can whoop the British Empire that's got all the force in the world, then we're talking power versus force. Very, very, very good to go Gandhi way.
Yeah. No, I love that. For you, I know, again, I've read a bunch of your stuff too. I've watched you for years, and I know where your beliefs lie with a lot of different things. Doing the right thing today is sometimes questioned whether it is the right thing or not. How do you deal with that? Because, there's this desire for conformity today, but it's the outliers that often do great things. And I think you're one of them. Yeah. I know you're one of them.
I just got to call BS on that. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
All successful entrepreneurs have what I call independent critical judgment. And that's how they come up with new ideas, new ways. If they thought the way everybody else thought, they would have never come up. You wouldn't have Henry Ford. You wouldn't have Steve Jobs. You wouldn't have Bill Gates. You wouldn't have, Warren Buffett. All these guys think differently than the crowd. That's how they're successful. So I don't like this. I don't like an ideology that brainwashes kids that, okay, you don't have to be accountable. That's why I don't date millennials. A, they're too young, and B, they treat dates like work. They don't show up or they're late. I'm kidding, of course. But the thought of not showing up for work, my gosh, the penalty when I got home, and the thought of not being on time. We talked about my high school baseball coach. If he's 10 minutes early, he's late. And so I don't like this. They sit there and hide behind computers. They preach tolerance and they preach love. And then they're always in the attack mode, especially if you're successful. And I think the worst thing you can do as somebody that's a young adult is sit on your butt all day behind a computer and attacking other people. That's so bad for everything I stand for and everything that is good human nature versus bad human nature and everything that's successful. So I don't like this, that if you disagree with something, you're going to get attacked. If you don't think the way I think, you're going to get attacked. If you don't believe in my ideology, you're going to get attacked. And by the way, if you can't, what's a rule of thumb? Was that the latest where if you say that, you offended somebody? I think the reason people are so offended is because they don't have self-respect.
Yeah.
And, you cannot have mutual respect for another human being if you don't have self-respect.
Yeah.
And you can't have self-respect if you don't have integrity.
Yeah.
And when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're not taking care of your temple, your body, your job, your friends, your community, then that's a lack of integrity, plain and simple.
Yeah. I like how you use the word self-respect. My wife and I were talking about this morning. There's a lot of talk about self-love, which is just like this, almost a trance that some people get in. But I like the self-respect. I like the way that's worded a lot better than self-love, because you have to respect yourself and you have to respect, I believe, all parts of yourself.
Well, if you are acting with integrity and you are playing it straight and you're doing your very best, you're giving life your guts, then you build solid sense of self. Solid sense of self builds that magnetic field, that higher level of consciousness, the karma, and things around you, and people feel it. When you're around somebody that's solid, they have a buffer around them. They're calm, they're confident, but they're also there, and they're there, and that they mean business, both in a good way and a bad way. So self-love, self-respect. I actually like integrity intertwined with solid sense of self. The opposite of that would be reflected sense of self, which is narcissism. What other people think of me is more important than what I think of myself. You don't want to operate from a reflected sense of self. Because if you're operating from a reflected sense of self, you're always playing politics, you're always playing games. Where if you're operating from a solid sense of self, then you care what other people think. You want to take care of yourself. You want your haircut. I get that narcissism. Yep. But when the narcissism starts running the show and integrity doesn't run the show, then you're asking for, bad things to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. So you've obviously put a lot of time into your development, mental development, physical development. In terms of your day-to-day habits, what do you do to keep yourself peak? I mean, we went over the physical training, but what are some things that you do on a day-to-day basis to keep yourself performing high, feeling good, and staying optimal?
Yeah, my next endeavor, there's four attributes. One is it has to be in my soul. If it's not something that I really believe in and have a conviction for, that's off the table. Two is it's got to better humanity. I was in the bar business, beer, alcohol, fates. I don't like the bar business. We'll talk about processed foods here in a second. Two, it has to be scalable. I like doing things in a big way. I just do. And three, it has to be sustainable. I don't want to be feeding this thing every month. So those are the four, things that I look for. But throughout the day, first thing is you got to get the diet right. And that therein lies, if you're me and you want to do something in a big way for humanity, it really is knowing what I know, because I have access to folks that really do know what's going on, whether it's, food supply, athletics, stretching, intellect, spirituality. I mean, I have an airplane and I have access and I have the dollars to go out and talk to the people that really have figured it out. So you look at processed foods, for example. See, people say, well, this person's drinking too much or smoking dope or doing drugs. They're chemically addicted. What we don't understand is 99.9% of the American population is chemically addicted. It's called processed foods.
Oh yeah.
And so right there, it's where you can see it in people's health. And now that's something that breaks my heart, to know that the food processors and the folks that are, the GMO and all the things they're doing to the food supply. I mean, if you pick up a can of soup, it has 20 or 30 chemicals. I mean, we didn't evolve with all these chemicals. So the first thing you have to do is you got to get the diet right. Good water, good environment, good organic food, in the right amounts. And the second thing is the sleep. This is an Oura ring. I monitor my sleep. If you're not getting good sleep, your body, everything about your brain, your emotion, your internal organs, your body repairs itself sleep. So if you got the diet right and you've got the sleep right, that really is 80% of it. And then surrounding yourself with people that are very positive, that are going to make me better. For example, I like to ride bicycles, and the folks that I say folks are kids are half my age. Some are a third my age. They race. That's what they do. They race for money. And so I always get beat, but I like it because I know that if I can just stay in the pack, I'm getting a lot out of it. So I try to surround myself with people that are actually smarter and better and actually have attributes that they're good at that I'm not particularly good at. So last night was an 85 on the sleep, which is a little off, but my readiness was 86. So I had the day off yesterday. So that's good. We'll do a real good protein smoothie or something that's organic. Of course, a salad, organic food. We'll do some stretching. I've stretched twice today. I like the foam roller. I like the wheel over the back. If the spinal column's not straight, you're not shooting the electronics throughout the body correctly with a bad spinal column. And then Travis, my high school baseball coach, and I got a workout in. And so that's, it's half the day, and I feel like I'm already on top of my day.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I just love that you prioritize this, because that's so my world. And I've been preaching this for years, but you're a guy that gets it, because the return on all of it is very high. I mean, imagine going through your day and not doing any of the things you just said. I mean, you'd feel like total crap probably.
And I have, and I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So those days are history. And for you, in terms of, making investments, in terms of putting all this food together, do you have somebody a chef or somebody that puts it together for you?
Yeah, we have an organic garden, and I don't have a chef, but the people I'm around know how to cook, and they know how to cook good stuff. Cool. That's good for you in a good way. It's hard to go out, and I'm not, I think to me, food is either fun, friends and family, or it's fuel. So I'm not so anal about it that if I want to have a cup of coffee or if I want to have a steak, I don't lose any sleep over it. But the majority of the time, you really want to watch the fuel you're putting in your system, and you want to pay attention. I'm involved with a company called Wild Health. It's genomics, and Wild Health in Lexington, Kentucky. We measure your DNA, 23andMe, and then we look at your blood, some 20 vials, and tell you what you're deficient on and what you need. For example, I do well with broccolis. I do well with eggs. I don't do well with vitamin E. So we do get the genomics, which, it's a couple $1,000. It's a lot of money, but it's data you have for the rest of your life. But you want to start with, Wild Health. I think the Tony Robbins program, you can't beat it, especially starting out. And then you evolve from there. There's something that's a little more sophisticated when you get into, the capillaries, the plasma, and those kind of things.
Yeah. You evolve, but most people, they just have a hard time getting started. I live on a cattle farm, so I get it. The food is everything, and it's an important part of just performance. If you don't understand performance and what fuel does to your body, either good or bad, you're going to be at a deficit. But I think it's amazing how again you're prioritizing this in your life. But John, I have a question. I ask everybody this at the end of every show, and I call it the Becoming a Champion show, because I feel like we're all on a journey to become our champion self. Some people see you and say he's already there, but everybody's working to get to that next place, especially high performers. What does the word champion mean to you?
Champion means winning, but only doing it the right way.
Yeah.
I think if you win and you cheated, you didn't really win. Yeah. And I think champion is somebody that really was legit and played by the rules and kept it in the boundaries and did it with class and dignity, and then got first place. Yeah. I don't know very many champions that did it the other way that I could call a champion. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. That's very cool.
The thing I'm most proud of at Papa John's, for 34 years, we never, ever lied or cheated in business. We didn't take one shortcut. We played the long game. We did it by the book. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. And that's why I think when something comes up that's nonsense, people just don't buy it, because they know we got our success out of the School of Hard Knocks and we did it the right way.
Yeah. And you feel good about it. You could sleep well at night when you know you did it the right way.
Amen. You're not going to sleep well if you don't do it the right way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You're exactly right. And that comes back to number 2, which is sleep.
Yeah.
But I love the point number 4 in your lessons, where it says, if you don't respect my time, you don't respect me. I'm going to use that, by the way. And,
I stole that, by the way. I stole that from Derek Jeter.
Is that right?
Yeah, and I use it all the time. Actually, I have a lot of level 3s and 4s that sometimes find their way around. So I have to get those category 3s and 4s. I use that as my tool to separate, get them out of the way.
Yeah, good. Well, I respect your time. Thank you for having me.
Well, I hope you loved that episode as much as I did. I know as a business person myself, whenever you can learn from somebody that built an empire and totally disrupted a category like pizza, that's somebody to learn from. And that's somebody that did something incredible. So we tip our cap to Papa John Schnatter. He's an unbelievable success story, like I said. And I want to ask you this. What category are you? Are you a category 1 person? I hope you are. And if you are, you got to do everything you can to maintain yourself as a category 1, and make sure you keep those category 2, 3s, and 4s far, far away from you. And if you do that, you're going to have a great life. And make sure you also stay focused. That's the important word. Too many times we get distracted, and you can't win when you're distracted. So let's keep getting after it. You guys are all champions, and I hope you come back and enjoy next week's episode of the Becoming a Champion show. And if you do, give us a like, give us a thumbs up, give us all those good things, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is Coach Dana Cavalea, and I'll see you next week. See ya.